They say the deepest wounds are not from strangers, but from those we call friends. And for Amaka, this truth came crashing into her life with a pain she would never forget. Amaka and Zoba had been inseparable since childhood. From their very first day at primary school, they had shared the same bench, borrowed pencils from each other, and held hands as they walked home under the hot Nigerian sun. People would often say, "Where you see Amaka, you will see Zoba." They went to the same secondary school and also attended the same university. They were the definition of what we call sisters from different mothers. They played together, laughed together, fought sometimes, but always reconciled. But what Amaka never knew was that behind Zoba's smile lived a dark shadow, envy. Where Amaka shone, Zoba quietly simmered. Amaka was bright, creative, easily made friends, and was loved by many. Zoba, on the other hand, was more reserved. She often hid behind her smile, but deep inside, she resented every success and attention Amaka enjoyed. But Amaka never noticed. To her, Zoba was her confidant, her sister, her ride or die. From university days, Amaka had one peculiar problem. She could never keep a boyfriend. They left as quickly as they came. It wasn't that she wasn't beautiful. Amaka was stunning. Her smile was warm, her laughter contagious, and her intelligence made her even more attractive. Men were drawn to her like moths to light. But somehow, each time she entered the relationship, it ended abruptly. Some claimed they never truly liked her. Some saw her and pretended they had never known her. Others simply ghosted her without explanation. One even went as far as publicly humiliating her, accusing her of pretending to be someone she was not and hurling unprintable names at her. She began to think she had a spiritual problem or that she was cursed with bad luck in love. Each failed relationship left her questioning not just the men who walked away, but her own worth. And each time, Amaka would cry to Zoba, who comforted her with a hug and would tell her, "Ami, don't worry. The right man will definitely come. Those ones don't deserve you. Forget them and move on with your life." But what Amaka didn't know was that Zoba was the architect of all her heartbreaks. Behind Amaka's back, she would secretly meet her boyfriends, poisoning their hearts against Amaka. She told them that Amaka was not who they thought she was, that she lived off sugar daddies, and that she was suffering from a heavy STD. With those lies, she turned their hearts away from Amaka, leaving her to face rejection after rejection without knowing why. But through it all, Amaka held on to one dream: owning a fashion brand. Since she was a teenager, she loved sketching outfits. She filled books with designs, imagining the day she would bring them to life. She often told Zoba, "One day I'll open my own fashion house. I'll design clothes that will walk on runways and inspire women everywhere." Zoba would nod, smile and say, "I believe in you, Amaka. You can do it." But behind that smile, her envy deepened. Zoba had no dream of her own. She drifted through school, barely passing, and always lived in Amaka's shadow. After graduation, both of them rented an apartment together in Lagos. Life was not easy, but they had each other, or so Amaka thought. Amaka was the first to get a job. She and Zoba celebrated in their own small way. Even though the pay was not much, she paid all the bills by herself and never complained. Many nights, while Zoba was sleeping, Amaka would be awake, checking different websites to look for job openings for her friend. She kept encouraging her every day that things would get better soon. After a long time, Zoba finally got a job in a big company. Amaka was so happy, almost like she was the one who got the job. But things were not going well for Amaka at her place of work. Each morning, the thought of going to work filled her with dread. Her boss made each day difficult. Nothing Amaka did was ever good enough for him. Sometimes he would make her repeat the same task, again and again, keeping her at the office longer than normal. Most evenings, Amaka went home exhausted and in near tears, wondering how long she could keep up with her work. Sometimes she tried to talk to Zoba about it, but Zoba would only nod lightly or change the topic to her own job. She spoke often about her new office, her colleagues, and the opportunities ahead, hardly noticing that Amaka was breaking down inside. Even with all the stress she was facing, Amaka would forget her own pain and smile whenever she saw Zoba happy. She felt some relief knowing that at least her friend was working in a good and favorable place. It gave her joy that one of them was doing well, and that thought helped her endure her own struggles a little longer. One evening, Amaka came home very late, looking like she was about to faint. Zoba looked up from what she was doing. Amaka was always exhausted after work, but that day was worse. "I quit my job," Amaka said before dropping into the cushion, too weak to even sit properly. She gave herself some days of rest, thinking quietly about the next step to take. Then one morning, she announced that she would be enrolling in a fashion school. Amaka's family supported her fully. They had always known she would one day follow fashion because she had been sketching designs since she was a teenager. Their encouragement gave her the strength to move forward with her decision. Zoba also showed support on the outside, smiling and wishing her well. But deep inside, she was hoping Amaka would get tired along the way and give up. The struggles in fashion school were real. There were long hours, tough assignments, and moments when Amaka felt like giving up. But her dreams and aspirations kept her going. Whenever she felt weak or discouraged, she would picture herself owning a fashion house, showcasing her designs on the runway, and making her family proud. Those thoughts gave her the strength to endure every challenge in the fashion school. Step by step, she was building the future she had always imagined. Zoba was always there to listen, but deep inside, seeing Amaka struggle gave her a strange kind of satisfaction. She never showed it openly. On the surface, she acted supportive, but in her heart, she quietly enjoyed watching Amaka find things difficult. After months of hard work and dedication, the day of graduation finally came. She stood tall in her handcrafted gown, the very design she had made as her final project. The fabric flowed with elegance, and every stitch told the story of her sleepless nights and unshaken determination. As she walked across the stage to receive her certificate, the crowd admired her work, and her family's cheers rose above the rest. Even Zoba smiled and clapped for her, though deep down she was burning with envy. For Amaka, it was more than just a graduation. It was proof that her dreams were valid, and that she had the strength to turn them into reality. Determined to chase her dream, Amaka used her savings to rent a small shop. It was empty at first, just plain walls and bare floors, but it was hers, and that was enough to make her smile. She started little by little. She bought a sewing machine, fabrics, colorful threads, scissors, and a mannequin. Every week, she brought in something new, sometimes big, sometimes small. The shop slowly began to take shape, turning from an empty room into a space filled with hope. Amaka would often sit inside after arranging everything, imagining the day her designs would hang proudly for the world to see. It wasn't easy, but each step made her believe more in the future she was building. She began by making her own dresses and testing them on a mannequin. Over time, her work drew a few customers, though they were still very few, but she was happy. One evening, while scrolling online, she stumbled upon exciting news. There would be a fashion show, a grand event where new designers could showcase their collections. Her heart leaped. "This is it," she whispered to herself. "This is my chance to show the world my designs." She began preparing with joy. She dusted off her sketchbook, her treasured collection of designs she had drawn for years. With her laptop, she refined some patterns and also bought the form to participate in the fashion show. Her dream was finally taking shape. But sometimes, Life has a way of testing even the strongest dreamers. One evening, Amaka overstayed in her shop, working late into the night. When she was finally done, she packed her things, locked the shop, and began walking home. The street was quiet. Her bag hung on her shoulder, heavy with everything that mattered to her. Then it happened. A shadow appeared. A rough hand grabbed her bag. She screamed, struggled, but the thief was stronger. In seconds, he vanished into the darkness, her bag with him. Amaka collapsed to the ground, trembling. Inside that bag was a sketchbook, all her designs from way back, her laptop where she had saved newer works, and her phone with contacts, photos, and deadlines. Her entire dream had been snatched away in the blink of an eye. When she returned home, Zoba was full of sympathy. Amaka, I warned you about staying out late. Look what has happened now. I'm so sorry, my darling. The good thing is that you are safe, she said, hugging her. Amaka wept bitterly. Where do I begin from? My sketchbook, my laptop, my phone, everything is gone, and I haven't even finished equipping my shop. Her heart broke. The fashion show was only weeks away, and now she had nothing to present. The days that followed were heavy. Amaka tried sketching again, but her mind was blank. She couldn't focus. Each time she picked up her pen, she saw the thief in her memory, running away with her bag, carrying her dreams into the night. Money was another problem. She was here to completely furnish her shop, and the little savings she had left couldn't cover all she had lost. She stayed indoors, crying often, while Zoba continued to console her. Amaka, don't worry. A bigger and better opportunity will come, yeah? Don't worry. Amaka believed her. She trusted her. She had no idea that behind those words of sympathy, her so-called friend was behind it all and was plotting the deepest betrayal of all. What Amaka didn't know was that the thief who snatched her bag had never been a stranger. Zoba had staged it. She had paid someone to do it, ensuring Amaka would be left helpless. When Zoba got hold of Amaka's designs, she secretly reached out to a well-known designer in the city. She presented herself as an ambitious beginner who had fresh ideas and was ready to learn. Smiling sweetly, she laid out Amaka's sketches as her own. The designer was impressed. He believed Zoba had real talent and told her they could work together. Zoba nodded eagerly, pretending to be grateful for the opportunity, while inside she felt a rush of pride. When Amaka tried to sit down and draw new sketches, Zoba would always find a way to distract her. Sometimes it was unnecessary talk. Other times it was asking for help with little things that could wait. Amaka didn't notice that it was very clear. Each time she wanted to focus, Zoba pulled her away. And when Amaka wanted to borrow money from her so she could replace her laptop and continue her work, Zoba found one excuse after another. The day of the fashion show finally came. Zoba tried to discourage Amaka from going, with claims that it would only make her feel bad, but Amaka could not bear staying at home. Even though she was not participating, she wanted to be there. She wanted to see how things were done, witness the creativity of others, and draw inspiration for herself. In her heart, she promised that when the next opportunity came, she would be fully prepared to showcase her own designs. She dressed simply and took a seat in the audience, her heart heavy, but her mind eager to learn. The hall buzzed with excitement. Bright lights shone on the runway. One by one, new designers were called, each presenting their collections. Amaka clapped politely, taking notes. She whispered a promise to herself. One day, my designs will walk the runway. Then came the announcement that froze her blood. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the works of an exciting new talent, Miss Chizoba Okeke, under the mentorship of the renowned Mr. James. Amaka's eyes widened. Her hands shook, her breath caught in her throat. She watched in horror as models walked the runway wearing her designs, her sketches, her lines, her ideas. Every piece was hers. After the show, Amaka forced her way backstage. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it in her ears. Her voice shook as she confronted Zoba. Zoba, so it was you. Those are my designs. You stole them. How could you? For the first time, Zoba dropped her mask. She smirked, her eyes cold and filled with bitterness. I've always waited for this day, she said slowly, taking a cruel satisfaction in the pain written on Amaka's face. Let me also be in the spotlight, madam. I've watched you shine in silence all these years. You don't know what it feels like to live in the shadow. Now I'm glad you are the one standing there. Amaka's voice cracked, her tears already falling. I thought we were friends, sisters even. Zoba, I trusted you with my life. How could you do this? Zoba laughed, a sharp, cold laugh that cut through the air. And that was your mistake. Amaka, you are so stupid, naive and blind. Amaka staggered back, her chest tightening, struggling to breathe. Her whole world spun as the truth settled like a heavy stone on her heart. At that moment, she realized that Zoba had been a green snake in green grass all along. The one behind her countless tears, the betrayer she never saw coming. That night broke Amaka. She wept until her eyes burned. Zoba was right. She had been blind all along, loving an enemy who had lived in her house, eating her food, and hugged her while stabbing her silently. Zoba's betrayal fueled Amaka's zeal to succeed. Instead of breaking her, it shaped her into someone stronger, someone determined to rise beyond every pain. She promised herself right there and then that one day the world will see her designs with her name boldly written on them, and nothing will stop that. She refused to give up. With zeal and passion, Amaka started all over again. She poured her heart into new sketches, worked tirelessly, and built her brand from scratch. Unlike Zoba, her creativity was endless. Her designs carried life, story, and emotion. People began to notice her. Others came in. Her brand grew, not overnight, but steadily, beautifully. Meanwhile, Zoba's stolen fame began to wither. When asked to create new collections, she failed miserably. She had no originality, no vision. The spotlight she craved soon slipped away, leaving her in darkness. Amaka rose higher than ever. Her fashion house flourished. Her name became respected. She learned to guard her heart, to be observant, and to never mistake envy for love. And whenever she remembered Zoba, she whispered the lesson she had learned through tears and fire. The greatest enemy is not outside your home. Sometimes it's the one you trust most, the one who hugs you in daylight but stabs you in the dark. The moral of this story is, talent can never be stolen. Stolen ideas may shine for a moment, but they will eventually fade away. Talent is like an ocean that never runs dry, flowing endlessly with creativity and inspiration. Protect your dreams. Not every plan should be shared, even with those closest to you. Some seeds grow best in silence until they are ready to bloom. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye.